Welcome to Crypto Talk Radio, the podcast for everyday investors like you. Visit us on the web at cryptotalkradio.net. And now, here's your host, Leister.
Thank you for that, Bailey, and welcome everybody out there in Crypto Talk Radio, found at cryptotalkradio.net. We're a couple days early, but I will go ahead and wish anybody who celebrates such a holiday a happy Thanksgiving, as the next time that we will be doing an episode is after the holiday season coming up here at the end of the week. It's been a crazy week, crazy in multiple senses. I'm going to tell you about what's going on with my construction nonsense at my house that I'm trying to get done, and I'm close. But in hindsight, I think I should have done it earlier versus some of the other work that I did. It's work that needed to be done. I just wish that I had done it earlier and then waited on some of the other stuff. And then some other nonsense. And then what's making this all harder, the freaking temps, they dropped. I don't mean temptations, but I'll get to that in a second. I'm talking the temperatures. The temperatures dropped like a rock. I do Celsius, by the way. I don't do that Fahrenheit crap because I find it unintuitive. Celsius is logical. Celsius is easy. When it hits 0, it's freezing. When it's 1, it's not. When it's -1, it is. Like, simple. Not this 32-degree Fahrenheit garbage. Fahrenheit makes no sense. It only makes sense on the heat side of things. It doesn't make sense on the cold side of things, whereas Celsius makes sense no matter what. So I do Celsius. So I'm telling you, this morning I get up and it's -5 degrees Celsius. That's freaking cold. Okay. I've been in temperatures. There's a place I went, Snowville, Utah. It's off the west. I was driving, and in this case, I'm pretty sure I was driving towards Oregon. Pretty sure that's where I was headed. It's fuzzy. I don't know if I was driving towards Oregon or driving from Washington towards Colorado. I'm pretty sure I was driving towards Oregon in this particular situation, based on my mental picture of in what car I had. Point is, it was freezing cold. There was nothing but it's called Snowville, and that's literally what you saw. There's nothing but snow at this one stretch. You come down a mountain and it's just snow, white snow. There's no buildings. There's no sound. There's no lights. So at night, you don't see anything at all. It's the most eerie feeling. So I get here now, and it's the first time I've had experience to winter here. I've had experience to winter in Colorado. I've had experience to winter in Northern California, experience to winter in Washington, experience winter in Oregon, certainly winter in Wyoming. That was brutal as all get out. Winter in Texas. So I've had winter exposure in different places, and Nevada. Nevada actually had some snow one time. A desert had some snow one time. It was icy. The guy almost broke his knee. I almost jacked my knee up. This is the first time I'm experiencing it here. And I got to tell you, folks, all I got to say about how cold, it's freaking cold, unbelievably cold, which put a crimp in my plans. I'm getting concrete. And if you don't know anything about concrete pouring, it likes to have the heat. It likes to have the sun. And we don't have either out here. So then the curing is kind of The one that was done in the front didn't turn out nearly as good as the one done in the back. Now, fortunately, the one in the front doesn't need to be aesthetically nice. It just had to be solid, rigid, because it's going to be holding the extension that I want to get done. And then I got a request out for a quote for a patio door openings, basically increasing the opening, putting an actual patio slider instead of this single door garbage that they believed in back in the 50s. So I'm doing a lot of work still, even though it's winter. I'm just saying that I wish that I had done a lot of this during the summertime instead of the work that I did do in the summertime. But let's talk some cryptocurrency. There's some weird or funny things happening, and I think we should chat some of this through and see where we end up at the end. Coindesk.com, and we are going to zoom out to the month chart. And if you did notice, Bitcoin took a significant crap, almost 10% loss. Right now, it's just shy of $92,000, and I want to talk about what's happening, but it's a significant crap out that's caused some people to think that the end is dear, we're done, we're toast, this isn't going to recover, there's no going back, this was a temporary fake out. And anybody who's listened to my show, if you're new, welcome, but if you've listened to my show, you heard me say that as long as Ethereum refuses to run, I'm skeptical about what's going on with Bitcoin, because normally they run somewhat lockstep, not perfect price, but in terms of if one runs, the others run. Ethereum has not run the way that I wanted it to run, and I still struggle to understand why it is that Ethereum refuses to run anywhere close to the pumps that we got on Bitcoin, but it makes me skeptical about the run-ups we see on Bitcoin until I see something change. Because right now, Bitcoin's run, again, losing almost 10% of it, you're still way up. So I'm not giving a doom and gloom scenario. You're still way up. Remember, this was like $60,000 not that long ago. And then before that, it crapped down to 12. So we got to put it in perspective that we're still significant up. But when I zoomed out to the month chart, I am using CoinDesk.com, by the way, zooming out to the month chart of Bitcoin, the run-ups that we saw then triggered a steep decline as people started taking profits. And that's really what it is. But the volatility aspect was really what stood out in my mind. Over the last 24 hours, it had a low of just shy of 91,000, a high of 25,000. So just within one day, the significant drop was seen and heard around the world, and it seemed as though it wasn't going to stop. People speculated that we were going to go down back into the 80s. I can't say if we will or won't, but it certainly is a sharp downward trend that would seem to indicate possibly going back down to the 80s before running up again. Most people are accepting that we should be hitting 100,000 by now, at least by the end of the year. Well, we're getting close to the end of the year, getting close to tax season, by the way. By the end of the year, we all accept that it should be going to 100,000, but we get 99,000, get right there at the border, and then it craps back down. Everybody, though, acknowledges we should run back up again. I'm still going to remain somewhat skeptical of it all until I see Ethereum run more than what I'm seeing. Ethereum on the last 24 hours, a low of 32, just shy of 3,300, a high of just shy of 3,500, nowhere near the volatility. On an upward trend, it's a sharp upward trend, but there are these major drops that keep happening along the way. And I will remind everybody listening to me here at CryptoTalk.fm, Ethereum's all-time high is $4,800, and we've not smelled that yet. Yet Bitcoin has already smashed 3 different all-time highs within a span of a month. So what is it going on with Ethereum and why it's not running up? And that's the mystery. That's the question people really should be asking. Is it true that Solana has gutted a lot of the interest in Ethereum? Yes, but Ethereum still has dominance from a market cap perspective its price belies the dominance that we see that it has. It certainly should still be running up regardless of the fact that Solana is on a steep catch up right behind and round its ass. I just am saying I'm going to remain skeptical of Bitcoin until I see Ethereum run up as well, because that will tell me that there's a lockstep trading happening, which is synergistic. I like to see a symbiotic relationship between these two that I'm not seeing, and I don't know why I'm not seeing it, and I want to see it back. And until I see it, I'm not going to remain. It's not that I'm not bullish, quote unquote. I'm not going to lean it that hard. I'm going to say I'm positive. I'm reasonably optimistic, but I'm not going to say strong, and I'm certainly not going to dump a lot of money into this business. If I were going to dump some money into something, again, the course can't steer you wrong. So no matter which one you do, Avalanche, Tron, Ethereum, no matter which one you do, they all are going to make you some money. Most of mine is in the ETFs, Bitcoin ETF, because that one's like a no-brainer. It's going to make you some money. The Ethereum ETF, because of what's happening on Ethereum on the standard side, isn't giving you the same types of return. And until I see that, there's no justification I can see in buying into this business. And I'd like to be able to buy into it, but I can't justify it. And until I do, I'm not going to recommend it. I am going to say the ETFs are a given. They're going to give you profit no matter what. You do have to be more studious about it. And some people don't have access to it even to this day. So that's where we are in the crypto marketplace. Certainly, it's a strong bullish trend. Certainly, there was a bull run on Bitcoin at very least, and some of the alts at the very least. Solana is absolutely up, even though it's not as high as it should be. But we are seeing that money is flowing back in, and it is new money because the market cap, total market cap, is almost double what it was. That's a positive sign. We still have a ways to go. And it may be that some of the wavering is waiting on Donald Trump to properly take office and see Jessica Starr scream bloody murder again as he's sworn in president again. If you don't know who Jessica Starr is, they thought it was a dude. They called him Luke Skywalker, and they filmed this person, this girl. It's actually a woman. They filmed her. She was on tears. She's holding her head down, and then she peeks up to make sure the camera's on her. So you know it's an action, it's a work. But the point is, right when they said Donald Trump is the new president, she's no, screams bloody murder, and then she does a fake, phony crocodile tear interview. This is not what we wanted. I'm so sorry, world. This is not the world. This is not my world. It's the most pathetic. And I said, has somebody tracked her down to make sure she's okay? Because I'm assuming perhaps she got suicidal. I wouldn't want to see that. But The truth is, when you're that set off about Donald, and did you hear Ellen DeGeneres straight up left the U.S.? Trash gone. That's good. Now we just need to get rid of the people on The View. We're making progress to getting rid of some of these people, but these people are part of the reason that we don't have significant run on crypto. You're like, why? How is there even a correlation? The correlation is if you have people who get influenced by these numbnuts, they're distracted by that garbage. Christina Applegate, great example, distracted by absolute garbage and nonsense. And they tell their followers and their fans to be distracted along with them. And those people are not focused on the economy, which is what we all should be focused on. And because they're not focused on the economy, they're not buying into cryptocurrency. And as a result, it doesn't run like it should. I am happy to see a lot of these idiots get the hell out of here. Glenn Jacobs, who is formerly Kane for the WWE, and Tyrus, he's a commentator, and he used to be a wrestler, Brodus Clay. They did a video talking about, I forget what it was, 2 big men or whatever, moving service saying, for free, we'll move you out of the country. It's a beautiful thing, trying to get rid of the garbage. And by getting rid of the garbage, we can get back a focus on the economy. The other reason that I think that we need to do something about this, I don't know if you heard about Blue Sky, right? That Blue Sky, so Jack Dorsey, he's the person that was ahead of Twitter when he was censoring the sitting president. That was that idiot with the beard. Looks like a damn terrorist. After Elon bought it out from underneath him and Elon restored peace and sanity to what is now known as X, Jack Dorsey went off and started this Blue Sky business, which is a different social media platform. Well, all these people who are anti-Trump started flowing over there. Turns out there was a bunch of pedophilia spinning around on that platform over there. So it's like, so you had it over there. Now these people go over there and it's over there and it's less over here. Things that make you go, I'm saying that there's such a cesspool of people. They are distracting people from the real issue, which is the economy, and to buy into the economy and do the right thing for the economy. I'm suggesting that we do need to somehow, I don't want to use the word segregate, but we do need to somehow isolate those people who are damaging to the economy, who serve no positive benefit, who cause distractions on people, so we can get people focused on the real issue, which is money. Money, money, yeah. That's what we need people to focus on. Not that it's your sole thing. You should never worship. I'm saying that we need to focus on it, and it should be your primary focus so you can understand what cryptocurrency can do for you. And if you understand what it can do for you, you're also benefiting your fellow man, which is what you should do, right? That's what I believe. Speaking of fellow man, I'm going to spend the rest of the episode talking about a very hilarious thing that happened very recently, because there wasn't very much news that you didn't already know. There's a lot of smatterings of things, but nothing solid confirmed. But I'm going to talk about something that was brought to my attention. I was browsing around the different channels, and by the way, Adam Coins is one that I do watch. He's changed his format, and I can't stand his new format. I think it's terrible. It's his show. It's his hustle, whatever. Mr. M's podcast, I kind of like it. I don't like him, but I like his guests, which is weird. Like, I wish he would shut up and let the guests just do the talking. Because, Da Vinci Jeremy will be on there. He has this other girl on there, and he has some other people that are really good analysts that give good coverage and talking about gold and Bitcoin. And, I like his guests. I don't like him. He comes across like a mark. Like yeah, absolutely. He's just agreeing. Yep. And I can't stand it. But his guests are good. So I'm going to give him a little shout out over there. But as I'm going through all the channels that I do watch, because there's a lot of garbage, some of the YouTubers have kind of come around. They're a lot more neutral, a lot more level headed, like yours truly here at CryptoTalk.fm. But there's still garbage out there. So I try to navigate the minefield of garbage and get to the real solid ones so I can make some recommendations to you guys of other channels to listen to, because maybe you don't like my coverage. I would assume if you're listening right now and you're a repeat listener that you do like my coverage for one reason or another. I want to hear from you. CryptoTalk.fm, hit the comment form. But as I was browsing around, I stumbled on Bleez's channel, and he does his normal, dog and pony spiel. He was having some technical difficulties, and I understand. I'm a technologist, but just as an FYI, so people understand, you can go back to my episode where I talked about Marx and I talked about the state of things and the state of YouTubers and everything else. And I straight up said, I'm a technologist. I'm on here to help people, but they don't want my help. They don't want the smoke. They don't want to ask for help, whether it's a pride thing or whatever it is. I don't know. But I see his technical issues. I know exactly what's wrong. He doesn't ask for help. That's fine. So he had said, and I think it was Ben Armstrong and a couple of other people, Pablo Crow, that basically gave him money Well, what good did it do? Because you don't have knowledge, because those are marks. You don't have the knowledge necessary to take you to the next level. I was going to offer to do that. I didn't want to answer anyway, I'm digressing. The point is, I'm watching the channel, breezing through, not listening to the deep coverage, because the only thing I like is when somebody attacks him, right? They're talking about Bencoin or some other rug pull or some other scam, and they come at him and then he responds. That's the entertainment I like to see. The rest of it, I'm like, eh. Or if he talks about Satama, which he doesn't do anymore. Otherwise, I'm just like, eh. Well, I happened to notice on the most recent episode, there was a comment. I don't know if he's deleted it since, but I figured I would read the comment and then I want to talk about what this person is implying or saying. This is around Luna Classic, by the way. Bleez fancies himself an advocate, a very strong soldier advocate for Luna Classic. He believes in the potential for it to run back up and become a success story, a recovery story, as many people do. I used to, but we're dealing with marks in that situation, so they're not getting anywhere. Happy Caddy certainly is trying, but he doesn't have the power or the authority to do much. You still have people up above who are running the game and ultimately influencing it. And so I kind of weaned off of it, and Bone to a lesser degree. But with Luna Classic, he has been covering it on a regular basis. He believes in it. He wants to see it succeed. Okay. So somebody came along and gave a comment, and I'm sorry, the comment was absolutely freaking hilarious. That is what I'm going to talk about. User Volcani LGLT, I believe it is, something or other, says, quote, and I got to do the accent on this one. Hey, listen, Sharkhead, you keep bullshitting about Lunk with no evidence nor any economical educational background, as in no G. You are just a crypto puppet. That's the spelling. I cannot think otherwise because you keep making videos talking with no sense, but still making videos every day. I am asking to myself, how can a person make daily videos as if he has no job? Stop. I'll continue. But the reason I chuckle there, so maybe people don't know. Maybe this person doesn't know because maybe this person is new. That's why I assume. As of the last I checked, Bleez was 100% on YouTube as a YouTube influencer because at some point in the past, his whole thing, they laid off or whatever happened. So he did lose his regular job and went full throttle into the YouTube side. So this person is correct in that statement or the observation that perhaps he doesn't have a job. I continue, quote, plus nothing he says become true and he still keeps making these videos? Basic answer, either he is damn or he is paid. I prefer saying well paid, unquote. So the shark head is whatever, okay? Here's the thing. The Luna Classic overall community, the level of toxicity that rose, which I never talked about, but the level of toxicity that rose hit a fever pitch a long time ago, okay? That's less about community. Luna Classic's failure and refusal to succeed is less about community and more about what is said. There's too much freaking supply. And until you fix it, it's not going to get any better. If it doesn't get any better, it is what it is. But the bottom line with this whole situation is we have to look at what we're talking about. We're talking about a token where, unfortunately, Do Rug Pull, aka Do Kwon, screwed it up. Now, certain of these YouTube people defended Do Rug Pull back when it happened. And I was one of the only people, go back and listen. I was one of the only people who called him out. That's why I continually call him Do Rug Pull, aka Do Kwon. Now, it's not that he maliciously took the money. It's not about malicious. The point is he made a decision that caused you to lose your money. That's what happened. It's on record. In fact, there was a post on Twitter back then that broke down what happened. And at the time, when I did the coverage about it, people said that wasn't true. And then later, they acknowledged, okay, that was the truth, but they didn't come back and give my credit when I called that out because I saw the post and they broke it down and they broke down what happened. And for those who didn't follow it because you're outside of the bubble, kudos to you. In summary, what happens, okay? For this Luna Classic and USTC, it was built to be a synergistic relationship between the two, that the two of them were supposed to balance each other out. USTC is supposed to be a stable coin. The supply of each, as far as on both sides, is malleable. It changes according to the whims to manage the price between the two. This is the algorithmic that I'm referring to. That's how it's supposed to be done. Now, there was a point where Do Rug Pull, aka Do Kwon, allegedly saw there was some sort of a risk to the stability of the price, and as a result needed to get more reserve and wanted to get more Bitcoin, and allegedly reached out to someone, and I forget the name of the organization, but reached out to someone to make a side deal to buy some Luna Classic, basically over the counter, straight direct sale, to get some Bitcoin reserves. Allegedly, and I didn't follow this train, but allegedly what happens is they create the dump. They basically do a significant dump out from the bag because of the way the transaction was done. I didn't follow the deep innards of it. All I knew is that this transaction with this organization, I don't know if it was Jump Crypto or who it was, but this transaction, the way that it was done, there was something where Do Rug Pull took his eye off the ball, and this company basically yanked all the stuff out from underneath them. That's all I remember. So when Do Rug Pull gets pulled up on the lam by the law enforcement, it was because he was the one that made the decision to do that. He didn't involve, there's a DAO, he didn't involve the community on this. And then after it happened, after the crash happened, they were the one that put up the proposal to release Luna, which is the shiny Luna, and essentially abandon Luna Classic. Well, the problem is with Luna Classic, now and then you have a lot of these who have validator support. They have voting power that superseded the voice of everybody else. Nobody wanted the new shiny. They wanted to fix Luna Classic. They just basically were going to abandon it, do the new shiny, and they did that. And they airdropped the remaining tokens to everybody else. So it was a whole big fiasco. The question at the time was, can it be recovered? Well, there's too much supply because it was printing out of control. Printing. There's too much USTC. There's too much Luna Classic. And unless you burn it, you're not going to get anywhere, which is what I said repeatedly. Well, multiple people talked about, well, we don't want to do burns. Well, then I said, you're not going to go anywhere with this nonsense. It's not going to happen. It's a waste of time talking about it. That's why I haven't talked about it, because it's a waste of time. It's not going to go anywhere. It doesn't matter. Even in the bull run, it didn't benefit to any significant degree. So the attacks now that are coming, specifically Bleeds, but other places too, the attacks now are because of frustration from people who want to see Luna Classic succeed. It's a futile effort. It's a futile endeavor. There's too much out there. It's not going to happen. I'll call it. I'm on record saying this is never going to recover because it's too far dead. Short of somebody giving up money, like you'd have to have some billionaire come along and say, you know what, I'll buy everybody out of poverty on this. And I don't think they'd do that because there's no incentive to, because Luna Classic is not a chain that anybody has their eyes on at this point. It's too toxic because of what happened. And then they're talking about doing more algorithmics to do this. It's like, dude, that's what got you crapped out in the first place. So this person saying, hey, listen, Sharkhead, this guy, he's pissed off. He's pissed off about his Luna Classic not going anywhere. I don't think it's a personal attack. I think he's just pissed off and frustrated, and that's understandable. And there may be people listening who are frustrated about Luna Classic. I think there's so many other projects out there. It's been left behind, and you can just focus on the future and move forward. I don't think it's worth trying to revive something that is so far dead. The story was it can do what Ethereum Classic did, and that wasn't going to be a reality. I said it was possible. I said it was unlikely. And I forget who it was that said it was completely impossible. It's not impossible. It's just highly improbable. It's a difference. But my advice to you, just a regular message, if you're so embedded in a project, if you're so nose wide open about a project that you get so pissed off, frustrated, and go off attacking some YouTuber that talks about it, you probably need to step away from this crypto thing, because it's not worth being such a negative Nancy because your crypto is not recovering and somebody's talking about it and trying to be positive and optimistic, because that's what he's doing. He's trying to be optimistic and he's trying to cover what it is. And it is true, he's using fake thumbnails about loot to $1 and all that, because he knows that as far as YouTube steers you to those types of videos that use fake thumbnails and fake titles. He's not doing it because he wants to. He's doing it because he knows YouTube steers you to those. I don't do it. That's why I have lower views. That's cool, because YouTube's not my platform. I'm a podcaster. It just so happens that the podcast replicates to YouTube for those people that want to hear it. Those people will find me or they won't. I don't push it. It's not a big deal. But I also don't talk about Luna Classic because I think it's a lost cause. And there's a lot of those tokens that are lost causes. I think Hachko, I think it's a lost cause at this point. Apparently, I heard the Telescan was yanked, the X account was dead. Well, you can try to do a community takeover if you want, but I mean, geez, the sentiment's near null because you had this major pump and dump that happened. On the flip, Floki getting listed on Coinbase, out of the random clear blue, and you look at the price of that garbage, and it gets listed on Coinbase. Now, of course, I think it still has quadrillions to supply, so it's not like it's going to make you a millionaire or anything at this point. It's kind of too late. But for a token that was twice rug pulled, for Floki to get on Coinbase is a pretty substantial thing. So I'm not suggesting that it's all doom and gloom. There are opportunities for certain tokens to go, but you got to look at the big picture of it. Like Luna Classic's already on a lot of these exchanges, including Coinbase. So it didn't make any difference. It doesn't make any difference about being listed. It doesn't make any difference about how many exchanges. It's just sometimes some tokens are too far gone and you kind of have to let it go and find something new. That's why I stopped talking to a great degree about Bone. Bone is another one that just has Mark developers behind it and they don't know what they're doing to make the thing succeed. And I had to break down on CoinMarketCap's community. If you look at what's going on with this token, it doesn't have hardly any volume. It has no trade volume. You can't just have a bunch of people sitting on it holding. HODL is a scam. It's a scam. You got to have trade volume, people buying, people selling, people offering their tokens for a high price, people buying for the high price to push the price up. You've got to do that. If you have a supply constraint, you should see it go to a magical number, but you don't have any volume on this damn thing. So it's not going anywhere. Remember, SHIB's got billions and billions of dollars in it. And a bunch of people trading that one, over 2 million people on the SHIB side. Well, you can't even get 10% of those people on the Bone side. What does that tell you? It tells you you failed as a developer and you're a mark as Satoshi because you're talking about a clone scented book. There's that. There's the Doe rug pull situation with Luna Classic. There's mark developers over there. There's scammers on the Sidechain side. There's failures on the Hotchko side. There's blistering idiots on Parrot. Like you're surrounded by blatant incompetence. And the only possible saving grace is Donald Trump lightening up the regulations to where we do get more reputable companies getting into cryptocurrency. If we don't get that, nothing's going to change. And it's a sad state of affairs. But I watch it and I shake my head when I see people get all frustrated because their latest project isn't doing what they expected to do. The last thing I'll mention as I close up, so I'm going to go and get back on this game, that is this. If you're the kind of person that's looking for your pump fund, right? You may have heard about pump fund and you're watching and these all seem to go to 8x or 10x. They do. The vast majority do. If you're looking for something to do it, you can check pump.fund and you want to roll the dice because that's what you be doing. That's the ultimate casino is to do that. But those are ones for quick cash. Now, the risk is high. The risk is significantly high. I would argue, though, that Solana doesn't have very many blatant scams. Like most of them seem to scan clean. It's just that the pump and dump risk is high because they use bots. But pump.fund is something you can look at if you do want to get that quick cash. That's an option for you to take a look at. I don't cover any of those because, again, they're largely garbage. I think Hotchko started as a pump fund. I'm pretty sure it did. But by the time I talked about it, I was just basically ridiculing those people who were listening. I didn't do deep coverage on it. Don't plan to. I knew that it wasn't going to last because if you look into the name, pump fund, right? You're pumping, fake pump and dump of the token. That's why I don't cover those. So I know that frustrates some people because they're looking into some other stuff. I'll steer you to pump.fund if you want to, but I'm not going to cover garbage tokens. You might say, yeah, but Luna Classic, that's garbage. Yeah, and that's why I haven't covered it, right? Bone is garbage. It shouldn't be, but it is. That's why I haven't heavily covered it. There's a lot I have not heavily covered that I'd love to. We're not in the same era that we were before. And until Ethereum goes running, I don't see there's going to be very many spotting up that are going to be significant projects. At least I don't see that happening in the future. I think it's a different time, and maybe it's just the gambler's delight era. Maybe that's what it is, or maybe whenever Trump can do what he needs to do, if he does, maybe we'll see some more quality. But as it stands right now, they're just surrounded by garbage because you have mark developers, idiot developers, scammer developers. That's the reality of cryptocurrency right now. The ETFs are a different situation because they're based on tried and true tokens, coins, like Bitcoin and Ethereum. And so the ETFs, absolutely 100%. I would absolutely advocate getting those. There's no reason not to have those. I think they're accessible to pretty much everybody at this point. I would strongly recommend you get into that if nothing else. Everything else is a gamble, and I can't tell you what specifically to get into. I can only tell you if you're so embedded that you're attacking a YouTuber because they're talking about your project in a certain way and your project's not going anywhere and it's in the crap like Volt or one of these other ones, you need to step away from this cryptos thing. It's not for you. And I don't want to see you get stressed off and possibly do something like self-harm. I don't want to see that. And that's what I sense is we're getting close to, because there's too many attacks happening. Understand, they're just, you've got garbage, marks, trash, scammers, whatever in the developer community. You don't have quality. And then you have it's a casino, a bunch of gambles. Some people like it, some people don't, but that's the reality of it. Until I see anything change, I'm not going to do any deeper coverage on many of these token projects. I would love to, but none of them are worth my time, and I don't think they're worth your time.